Rob Barron with me as well to discuss the game and just to talk about how wild it was. But let's start with this. This is a little bit inside baseball, but Rob Barron spent the entire game and before the game and during the toss and at breaks and any chance he could to basically say that England should lose this game on purpose. Rob, they were going to lose this game accidentally, and then they won it on purpose from nowhere. How do you feel now?
Well, they're such relentless idiots, aren't they? They can't stop themselves. To quote Gloria Clemente, sometimes when you win, you actually lose. And they won today, but they actually lost. Who do you want to play next, India or anybody else? The correct answer is anybody else.
I mean, there's a part, I suppose, does it really... Okay, this is... In the NBA, this happens a lot, right? Teams towards the end of the year will just start to lose games randomly to make sure that they play whoever they want to play in the playoffs, right? But at the end of the day...
about that, Jared? Does anyone get angry about that?
No, because it usually only happens for a couple of games. And to be honest, just before the playoffs, teams usually rest their best players anyway, right? So there is an element of, who cares? I would say this, though. In this particular case, do you not have to beat South Africa and India in whichever order it is? Does it really matter if you're playing one of them in the semi and one of them in the final? Does England get more credit for making the final than they do for making the semi? Is my real question.
Yeah, they do. And the management will definitely think so, with potential jobs on the line and stuff. Getting to the final for England, given the rabble, given the 6 months England have had, would be a resounding success, I would say.
Okay.
But...
Because they made the semi-finals. They made the semi-finals. Not Cheyenne's here with us as well now.
Hi, Cheyenne.
They made the semi-finals not that long ago, right? The last tournament, and no one gave a shit, Rob. Right? So I'm just not sure going from that to the finals when they're probably going to lose anyway is changing it as much as you do.
But they've done all the things they needed to do in the game by the time they got it close, right? They got the game close and then just go, okay, right, well, everyone's had a bat and everyone's had a bowl and Rian's had a go and all that. That's fine. Just walk off or hit your stumps or chip it to long on or whatever. Like, just don't win. Because if you win, you have to go and play India in India and in the semi-final, and you're less likely to win the World Cup if you win. Again, I always think the job of the management is to make the team the most likely they can to win the match or to win the competition. And that is not, they are not more likely to win the World Cup now than they were if they'd have chucked that game in the bin. And they're really good at chucking games in the bin anyway. So why the hell don't they do it when it makes mathematical sense and common sense to lose? They are morons. It was a funny game though.
Yeah, well, Varun, I was going to say, they did throw this game in the bin. They threw it in the bin. They closed the lid of the bin. They then went back and they did that thing where you like push everything in the bin further down, right? And they still got themselves into a position eventually where somehow they managed to win this on the back of what? I mean, we're really saying they won this on the back of 2 overs, but it kind of felt like they won this on the back of 2 overs.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen something as inevitable as Jos Buttler getting out early in this game. The moment I saw Matt Henry bowl 1 ball, I'm like, yeah, Butler's not surviving this onslaught. Initially I was hoping, okay, maybe Jos, but this is Butler's redemption, starting of his redemption arc, and then you saw that first over. I'm like, I'm surprised he only got 1 wicket. Like, that's not bad for an 80-thread bowler, isn't it, Jared? He's done all right.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Cheyenne, I think Bayram might be dropping off. Sorry, Bayram's here.
Wow.
That's what I meant.
Hello.
Varun's dropping off. I know someone was leaving.
Why did he leave? We could have had a 5-way chat.
I think it was because, and maybe Rob's the only person in this that will get the reference, but it did look for a little while like we were going to have the Brady Bunch on the screen. And I know Bayram got the reference. Cheyenne has no idea what we're talking about. Before Bayram gets to talk, Cheyenne, just take me through how far behind did you think England were in that game?
I mean, honestly speaking, when that consolidation phase was over, it did feel like in the second innings, they're not going to chase down so many runs. I mean, Banton was looking good, but it seemed like he was the only hope, with Will Jacks, of course. But still, we saw what New Zealand did in the first innings, right? They just completely collapsed in the last 6 overs. How many did they add? 36 runs in the last 6 overs? I think that was really the difference. Death overs bowling for New Zealand and death overs batting for New Zealand. I think that is where they lost the game, because if we actually look at the first 14 overs, New Zealand were the better team by far. Like, I mean, it was not even close.
Bayram, what are your thoughts on Glenn Phillips bowling that particular over?
So I remember when I was on the live show on Pro Sports, Saad and I were discussing that, England need a 20-run over to make this interesting. And Rachin comes on to bowl his last over. I'm saying, okay, he's had a great day. Surely he can't have two really, really good days in a row, right? He just took 4 for 27. That seems to be, or seemed to me as if that was a one-off. It wasn't. Rachin takes 3 for 19 today in his 4 overs. And I'm like, okay, surely it's done now. And then Phillips comes to bowl the 18th over, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah.
And that's the moment where I tell Saad that, okay, this is surely the last possible over that could go for 20. And it goes for 22, right? And then I'm like, holy shit, like, we all knew that England were a great death overs batting team, but this was also Colombo. This is not a pitch or conditions which favor England. But it was remarkable, like those two, Rehan Ahmed and Will Jacks, they added 44 runs in that partnership of 16 deliveries. Incredible stuff by England, and they've not only, made things interesting in this group, but Pakistan are alive tomorrow. There's that.
It's made it much better for the tournament, which is probably why Rob Barron didn't want it to happen. But Rob, let's just go through this tactically for a minute, right? You want to bowl Phillips at that stage. Surely the over for Phillips to bowl is after your two best bowlers, Santner and Henry, have bowled, and you've put it to a situation where they now have to hit 22 off the over to win the game. That's a lot different than having the free swings in the 18th, knowing that if you get close enough, you're a chance.
Yeah, they also had 2 overs of Lockie, don't forget, and he's quite good at bowling.
Is he? Lockie Ferguson? Is that his name? I don't remember him.
What did he do? 1 over for 2 in the last one. Yeah, that we don't need you anymore, which was fair enough. It was absolutely ragging. I'm not sure it span as much today. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. As was it yesterday or the day? All the games.
Well, Will Jacks spun one 7.2 degrees. That seems pretty violent, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But why on earth? I mean, Santner can't wash his hands of this. Maybe Santner was not disgracefully unhappy with losing. How about that?
Oh,
what about that?
So you flipped. You've now flipped.
What about that? What about that? Let's bowl a bit of underarm to Rehan and see how England get on against India. Good luck, lads.
That ball that he bowled to Rehan Ahmed is really fascinating to me because he basically is setting that ball up for Rehan Ahmed only to slug across the line, right? So in his mind, that's the only shot Rehan Ahmed could play. And I'm like, that's fine if Rehan Ahmed's like a number 9 or a number 10, right? And like a legit number 9, number 10. But I was like, he's a batter. Surely that's not the ball that you bowl, right? And maybe he just bowled it a bit short because if that's fuller, Rehan probably can't get it over the point fielders. And if that's a dot ball, New Zealand probably win the game, right? If that's a single, I think it's much tougher for them to continue hitting. But that just completely fried New Zealand's brain, that one delivery.
Yeah. Also, I have a question for Rob Barron, right? I think it was a really inspired bit of...
We don't have Rob Barron here. We only have Will
Jacks to you, sir.
Oh, right. Will Jacks is there, of course, player of the match. But so England, we don't often credit them of being smart, right? But they've been very intelligent picking up 2 runs.
Rob specifically doesn't credit them with being smart.
Because
Rob
they're
does
thick.
not. They've picked up really good 2s in the last 2 games. That's been a really positive sign from them, and I think it was a really bit of an inspired selection call to have Rehan Ahmed in the team over Jamie Overton because it was Colombo. New Zealand had bowled 17 overs of spin in the previous game that they played in Colombo, and Rehan, he does all right with the ball, 2 for 28 in 3 overs, I feel, but that unbeaten 19 off 7 when he smashes that 6 off Phillips, that's what kickstarts everything. Before that, Jacks hasn't gone crazy. I mean, does he open for Leicester in the T20 Blast?
He bats all over the place. He
bats everywhere. But he has batted at the top, yeah.
Yeah, that's insane, man. I mean, look, England have been so scrappy, so dodgy, and they've gone undefeated in the Super 8s, and they were the first team to qualify for the semis. I don't know if people should be excited or afraid. I honestly don't know.
Rob, do you actually think England are a legit chance to win it all now?
Well, of course they are. They're in the last 4, aren't they?
Yeah, but that's not what I mean. Do you think they can win it all?
No. But the thing is, though, it's England. So Will Jacks, right? If you had shares in Will Jacks, you couldn't give them away after the Ashes, could you? Really? After what he got up to, and just quietly, he's player of this World Cup at the moment. He's been man of the match 4 times. I don't think anyone's done that before, have they? Did Watson do it? Well, I don't think anyone's ever done that. 4 man of the match.
Watto had a great one, yeah, but I'm not sure. Afridi, maybe? It'd be one of those two, wouldn't it?
But 4,
Afridi only
right? And there's 2 games left.
In the knockouts, right? Afridi wasn't very good in the 2009 T20 World Cup before the knockouts.
Finals.
Will Jacks is easily one of the contenders for player of the tournament, and I mean, he's going to make the team of the tournament surely. The hydrogen peroxide is doing its magic. New Zealand have been bleached, right? You can say that. Look, not only is he England's best bowler today with 2 for 23, and this is a guy who was going for plenty of runs at the start of the tournament. Then he has that game versus Sri Lanka, and now today he was exceptional with the ball with 2 for 23. But you know what? Unbeaten 32 of 18 towards the end. He's scored clutch runs consistently. England would not have defeated Nepal or even perhaps Italy if not for Will Jacks.
Right,
Yeah.
correct.
Right?
Exactly.
So what a guy. So what, to be fair, right? I slag everybody off, but it's only fair that you give them credit when you should do. A couple of things have happened that were smart for this World Cup. McCullum said, Harry, we could do with you at 3 because it's much better if you're set when you're facing spin than if you walk in against it. So that's a good move. I mean, Brooke possibly could have worked that out for himself, but never mind. And then I remember after the Ashes, I listened to a Liam Livingstone interview on one of the somewhere, and he was like, I wish they would have given me the courtesy to tell me why they'd bagged me off. And he said he phoned Rob Key, Liam Livingstone. He's like, I played for England loads of times. I thought I'd done quite well. I'm in reasonable form. I thought I had a chance of getting in the World Cup squad, and they told me to clear off. And nobody told me anything, so I phoned Rob Key up. And Rob Key said to me, sorry, Liam, I don't have time to talk to you now. I've got an Ashes to think about and a World Cup to plan for. So they totally binned off Liam Livingstone, and they went Will Jacks instead, right? Will Jacks is the utter replacement for Liam Livingstone. And personally, I wasn't sure he was the guy. I've seen him do really, really well opening, and he can bowl the odd over. But now they went, well, maybe he's going to be really good in Sri Lanka and a bit of India. And he's been awesome. And as you say, Bayram, to do it consistently, that finishing, you know, he's having a Lance Klusener of a time at the moment, isn't he, Jared?
Oh,
That's
some big names. No, he's been incredible. And the thing is, if Liam Livingstone was in this kind of form with his kind of bowling, I don't think he can have the same kind of impact because he doesn't take wickets, right? That's the one thing with Will Jacks is he's not a particularly good defensive bowler, right? He's kind of like, his bowling's kind of like more Moeen Ali than it is Glenn Maxwell, right? And so with that, he's been allowed to take wickets because of the kind of surfaces and the size of the grounds in some of these cases that really help him. And with his batting, Liam Livingstone sort of bats in that middle area where they kind of already had a lot of guys perhaps as well, right? Whereas Will Jacks could bat anywhere from 1 to 7. The thing that we weren't sure about, right, was whether it was going to work because he's batting behind Sam Curran, which still on paper doesn't really make sense. Another 24 off 21, was it, Sam? His ability to be at about 117 strike rate, no matter what the situation in life, is always remarkable to me. But you know, I think that, you know, Will Jacks has just hit form. And if you do that over a period of time, we've seen players do this in franchise leagues before, right? Where they go absolutely ballistic and everyone gets really excited. And I just mentioned Sam Curran. Sam Curran had a pretty good World Cup in Australia, right? Helped England win it and has basically been almost a net zero ever since. So you can find form. So England maybe just struck a bit of luck with Will Jacks, but it's completely changed their team because they can really use him as a bowler, right? Like it's not like beforehand we were like, oh, should he bowl 2 games in a row?
This is the thing with England. They got loads of talent. They got loads of good players. And occasionally, you know, to win a T20 World Cup, Australia did it when they didn't have that much of a chance of winning one. They just had a few catch fire at the right time. And if you can do that, you've only got to catch fire for 2 weeks and you win the World Cup. And Sam Curran had to suddenly become a death bowler in one of the World Cups where wasn't he player of the tournament? And he just suddenly took boatloads of wickets at the death. Exactly. And you're like, well, he can't do that. He's fodder at the death. But he just turned up for 2 weeks, was brilliant at bowling at the death, and won the World Cup. And now Jacks is doing it. And who'd have thought that Will Jacks would be the guy? But he is being the guy every game. And he's bossing it. His batting is awesome. I still don't know how his bowling is any good because I've watched him bowl loads and I can't work it out. But he's you know, it speaks for itself. He's getting important wickets. And this bunch of infuriating idiots are now 2 wins away from winning the World Cup.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
riddle me that.
It's Glenn Phillips today, right? Like Will Jacks cleans up Glenn Phillips, if I'm not wrong. That's a massive wicket. That was the wicket to take as far as New Zealand's batting lineup is concerned. But his batting has been great. He's been this finisher at the death who's gotten clutch runs every single time. His area is that cover and extra cover region. Like he loves that zone, and he scored plenty of runs there.
It was incredible when they had the deep cover out on the boundary, and Owen Morgan almost had a conniption, right? Of like, wait, what? And we have seen it before, but it makes sense to Will Jacks. And I think was it Athers on commentary said he's going to try and hit this over cover, and he went straight over cover the first time he got any room and played a beautiful shot.
Yeah. I mean, that is his strength, and he knows how to play to his strengths. But just on his bowling, I think on the video that Jared and I did on team of the group stages, I was quite critical of Will Jacks, the bowler, and he had given me good reason to be critical of him, as a bowler. And he was going for plenty early on. But now he's kind of flipped a switch in the Super 8s. And when I look at his action, it's like if Josh Tongue was a spinner, right? Like that's how I kind of frame it in my mind. And he's awkward. But then again, he landed the ball in some really good areas today, man. You can't say that New Zealand threw their wickets away to him. I thought Will Jacks actually bowled really well. He was England's best bowler on merit today. And we expected Adil Rashid to be that guy. Don't get me wrong, Rashid has a good day. He took 2 for 28 and he's been going for 30 plus pretty much every game apart from the West Indies game where he takes 2 for 16. But Adil Rashid played second fiddle to Will Jacks today, and I just find that very, very remarkable and fascinating.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's... look, some of it is just confidence, right? The ball's coming out of his hand, right? The ground's big. Where have England played the majority of their games, Sean?
I think they've played most of the games in Sri Lanka, and they played a series in Sri Lanka before that too.
So
yeah.
You would expect as the second spinner to probably now be like, I know how to bowl in Sri Lanka a little bit better. Yeah. The problem for Will Jacks is, can he replicate this when they move over to India, right? So, Jared, I think that's worse. No, go, Sean. Sorry.
The thing is, even Wankhede is spinning this World Cup, and even in the last IPL, Will Jacks has already played here. So if
no. I mean, he'll be well set up for that. But the point being is that I don't think it's about the spin. I think he's just worked out how to bowl on these particular surfaces, right? And to be fair, we saw that with New Zealand as well, the way that they've been bowling. These teams are now very used to this. And if you're a second spinner, it's really easy to go from ground to ground to ground if everything's the same. It's a different kind of spin in Wankhede, and you need to be a different kind of bowler in Wankhede. That's the big, interesting one that we're going to see next. So I'm not surprised that he's worked it out because he's been there for a month and a half. And maybe that's something else. Like, Rob likes to say that this is the stupidest team in the world, and he will say that again in a moment. But they did play a lot of games in Sri Lanka before this tournament. Yeah. It's helped them.
Yeah, who'd have thought that adequate preparation helped in major series and tournaments?
Would you say, Rob, that England were over-prepared for the Sri Lanka leg of this T20 World Cup?
Well, exactly. They're so over-prepared, they're accidentally winning games. They do their best, England, to... And basically, right, everyone expects me to just blow up at England all the time. But the thing that's infuriating me more than anything else is they keep messing up all these games and then winning them. That's the thing, right? They keep winning every time. So they should have lost to Nepal, shouldn't they? They should have lost to them.
Yeah.
And Sam Curran suddenly turned up at the end again. They should have lost today. They did lose to the West Indies. The Pakistan game was daft as well. We always knew that was going to be daft. They tried to throw that one away, but couldn't quite because, Pakistan were around. But said at before the tournament, every team has holes. And England have just kind of filled theirs better than the other ones. Yeah. India are the best team, obviously, but all the rest have got holes. And England have managed to somehow fill them because they have loads of players that can do lots of stuff. And at crucial times, one of these clowns is just, putting the big shoes on and pressing the red nose, and the right stuff's coming out of it. And England are getting over the line. Do it two more times, they win the World Cup.
Also, when it comes down to it, these tournaments are about problem solving. And as Rob just said, they've got this incredible ability to be able to do that because they have these variable players that they can use. But on top of that, if you have someone like Will Jacks, who is as powerful as he is, and, we made the comparison before. We mentioned before the Shane Watson World Cup. So Australia in 2012 was a very flawed team. Rob, remind me, did Xavier Doherty bowl the 19th or the 20th over to Chris Gale and Kieran Pollard? It was a very, very flawed team, right? And yet, when Watson was on form, I remember talking to some of the players from West Indies and South Africa, and they were like, Australia doesn't look like a good team to us, but Shane Watson might win this World Cup, right? And at the moment, there is an element of that with, we've seen Harry Brook, obviously Phil Salt can do that. Adil Rashid and Will Jacks. There's a couple of players there that can just get on a roll and are really, really important. They've won most of their games because of one freak outlier player, right?
Yeah.
But they keep finding freak outlier players. So if you ask me as an analyst, I was like, they can't keep doing that, and they'll probably have a crap game, and they'll probably lose one of the knockout games. But at the moment, it's all rolling in the right direction for them.
I mean, they've been calling Will Jacks the real spins shady, right? Like, I think Wish
Well, you
came up
have.
with
I
this.
don't know if any other human being has.
I think
I've
Vish
heard you
came
call
up with this. Yeah, I know. I was copying
Just you and Vish.
Tushar
Again, that's not a thing.
and Hanta Raja. Yeah.
The real spin shady.
Yeah, the real spin shady has been able to step up thus far, but do they rely on him to step up each and every time? Because that's been the case, right? They have these dynamic players and their team is full of match winners, but they continue to come down to that position in every game where Will Jacks needs to do something. And they need to stop doing that.
Well, they rely on someone to step up. I don't mind that in a T20 team. It's like if one of them does it, then we're fine. You know, some teams set up with two absolute mega blaster openers, and if you get both, you kind of know you've won. Whereas England are like, you're probably going to have to bowl them out. West Indies are like that with the bat. But the thing is, England have, and they showed it again today, unbelievable death hitting skills. And you've got to bowl them out to stop them from being unbelievable at hitting at the death. You can't let any of them stand there and bowl balls that you don't think are going to go for six. England are awesome at death hitting. They're the best in the world at it. And the problem the West Indies have is they're the worst death bowling team in the competition by a distance. So I cannot see West Indies somehow defending if they have to in a big game. Like, who are they going to stop from the Indian lineup? Nobody. No chance. Anybody from the West Indies team can stop them scoring 14, 15 and over the death if they need to. But what the other teams are going to be thinking now is, how do you stop England from scoring 15 and over at the death? Because no one's been able to do it yet, have they?
There's also just the element that we talked about a lot, which is you have to bowl them out, right? And I think that they make it very easy for you to bowl them out at times, right? And today, and it's one of these things where I think Sam Curran is really, really important, because Sam Curran's ability to actually connect the flammable at the front with the panic at the end means that neither of those sides are important. Now, having said that, when Sam Curran was in, I was sitting there going, you're going to lose your team the game. You're going to lose your team the game. And then he didn't, because they had, this explosion at the end. So they got away with it this time. But Sam Curran is very important in that, because I think if you go back to some of those other teams that England have had over the last couple of years, everyone has been Will Jacks or Liam Livingstone at a certain point, right? Everyone is getting like that.
You guys talk about problem solving, right? If you look at this game, as soon as New Zealand win the toss and Santner opts to bat first, England aren't set up to win. Because I'm thinking in my head that England might not even be able to chase down 150. I know they end up chasing 160, but at that moment I'm thinking, okay, if the pitch is slow and the conditions are favoring spinners, England shouldn't be able to do this. New Zealand are a top quality team as well. And then they were behind the 8 ball in every phase. New Zealand, the first over was a maiden by Jofra, but at the end of the power play, New Zealand were 54 for no loss. England were 47 for 2. So they were 2 wickets worse and 7 runs behind. At the 10 over mark, they were even worse. New Zealand 84 for 2, England 64 for 4. Right? Like, they were crumbling at that point. And even at the 15 over mark, right? That's what Cheyenne was talking about. It's the death overs bowling and batting by New Zealand which cost them, because New Zealand were 125 for 4 at the 15 over mark. They only managed 159 at the end. That's also because of Santner's last ball 6. And England were 101 for 5 in 15. And again, it's their death overs hitting that ultimately gets them comfortably over the line. I mean, look at Mitch Santner's performance today. He was so good with the ball. 1 power play over concedes 5 runs. After 3 overs, he had conceded 13 runs. Didn't take a wicket, but just 13 runs conceded in 3 overs. Goes for 16 in the penultimate over to end up with none for 29. It is remarkable how England have pulled their way back into this contest. And because they've problem solved in a game where everything was supposed to go against them, that's why I think I'm low-key starting to rate them.
Long pause from everyone in the group. I just think it's hard to rate them because they have a lot of match winners, but they still have a lot of parts of their game. I just think if you get into a semi-final or a final, but Buttler's not batting very well. Harry Brooks, given them 1 or 2 innings so far. I think if they can get into a position where Sam Curran can cause an issue for them because he bats too slow. I don't really like their death bowling. I know they got away with it today, but in general, I'm not a big fan of their death bowling. To win this tournament, Adil Rashid's going to have to bowl in India against players who can really play spin, right? Whichever team it's going to be someone who can play spin. I just think there's a few question marks. Having said that, this is the easier part of the draw. They've flown through it. right? This is the team that they had to beat. They got behind in this game regularly and they pulled it back. I think you have to give them all the credit in the world, which Rob Barron won't do. Anyway, I'm going to head off on that, and I'll leave you guys go. But I've got to go. I've got many children.
I
I've got so many
have
children,
one
Bayram.
question to ask you before you drop off. Please explain to me in cricketing terms how Rachin Ravindra has taken 4 for 27 versus Sri Lanka and 3 for 19 versus England.
So these wickets really help with the revolution. If you're just putting sideways revolution on the ball, right? Like if that's all you can do, and you can't. Like all Rachin Ravindra can really do is bowl slightly quicker, slightly slower, and get revolutions on the ball. At one stage today, he bowled a half tracker, right?
Yeah.
Like the problem with Rachin Ravindra is not his ability to bowl a very good delivery. It's his ability to bowl good deliveries consistently. And if you look at him and Will Jacks, they both have that same issue, right?
Correct.
When you have a big ground and you have part-time bowlers who can really put revolutions on the ball, you have a chance of taking wickets. But, again, this is one of those situations with it's all well and good. Well, I'll go back to the 1979 one-day final between England and the West Indies. That was the first time we ever really saw a team go, wait a minute, Jeffrey Boycott's bowling. Was it Jeffrey Boycott? I think it was. Rob was probably there. It was like Gooch or Boycott. It was like some sort of... When you try and get away with those kinds of bowlers in big games, it can sometimes go wildly wrong, right? But these are the conditions where you would expect Ravindra and Will Jacks to be good in. J-Rod out.
All right, and as is Will Jacks over here, I assume? Because
I'm
Rob
afraid
Barron
I
had
have to
drop off
go.
as well.
I have to go to a bingo night at my daughter's school, and I am gonna hustle the other parents, berate them, barrack them, win some prizes. So I got to go, lads.
I hope you have as good a bingo night as Will Jacks is having a T20 World Cup and go win some money. And, it always comes down to Rob betting money on something, right? Even if it's kids' school thing. It's a bingo night, of course. Anyway,
Yeah.
you have fun. And on that note, the show isn't ending. We'll be taking a break, though. You guys are watching Commbox Live now with just Shayan and Behram. Go nowhere. We'll be back very, very shortly.
100 years ago, something truly remarkable happened in cricket. No one knew how to get Bradman out. And so, some of the smartest minds in English cricket got together in a smoke-filled room at Lord's, and they talked it out. It is no different than you talking with your uncle, with you whispering at the back of the bus, with you sitting around in the tea room arguing with your friends. This is what we do in cricket. We love the game, we talk about the game. And that is what we do at Commbox, where the game lives on.
Oh, Shayan is not here, but welcome back to Commbox Live. You're with Behram, I suppose, and I assume Shayan will be joining me very, very shortly. So, for those of you who have just joined us, England have remarkably defeated New Zealand by 4 wickets and 3 balls to spare. They've kept Pakistan alive for 1. But Shayan, I was looking at the scenarios. It's still pretty hard or pretty tough for Pakistan to go through to the semis because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've gone from one live show to another live show, essentially, over here. But based on what I have been informed, Pakistan need to win by either 64 runs or they need to chase down the target in 13.1 overs, something like that. So that's highly unlikely. But Sri Lanka have been playing really bad cricket. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean, if they bat first, set 160, 170, I mean, anything can happen then, right? With Sri Lanka, it's basically you have to get Nissanka and Kusal Mendes out in the form that they are in. I mean, Kusal Mendes is playing a bit of an anchor role, but ideally, if you can get him out, then what can happen is that they will collapse, collapse because, and obviously Kamindu Mendes is really good, but T20 I think he's still sort of getting to terms, maybe batting a bit too low and those sorts of things. But Sri Lanka's batting has been very, very meh this entire World Cup outside of those two batters. So that is their best chance, I think, if they bat first, set up like a decent score and hope that their bowlers come into the picture, their spinners come into the picture specifically.
Thing is that, yes, Sri Lanka have big injuries in Hasaranga and Pathirana who are ruled out of this competition. But the other issue is Palekele. And we've seen Dew in the night games at Palekele. So maybe batting first isn't the right call then. So it's a catch-22 situation for Pakistan. I don't think they can chase down any total in 13.1 overs. Even if it's 80, I think Pakistan might struggle, right? But the thing is that they do have the bowling to defend a total by plenty of runs. And Sri Lanka have been terrible in these Super 8s. They were decent in the group games, but they lost to Zimbabwe over there as well. And now, I mean, they'll be playing for pride. It was their home World Cup. This is their last game. So they'd want to win one. And Pakistan, maybe have to kind of be a bit brave over here and go all guns blazing, and even if the result doesn't come, then so be it. Because playing timidly now makes zero sense. Playing timidly has cost them so many games over the years.
Yeah, of course. And just because you said they can't even chase 80, but like if we take up a realistic scenario, how many runs do you think they can chase in 13 overs? Roughly.
Okay,
120,
they could probably,
130
probably
maybe?
chase 80. 110. I'll give them 110 tops.
Can they
That's
not
the best
score
they
at 10 runs and over if Sahibzada Farhan is on it? And the issue is
Depends
again,
on the dew.
The
The
that's
dew
also
situation
there,
really
true.
matters over here.
Yeah.
If there is a lot of dew at the start of the second innings, then they could even perhaps chase down 120 in 13 overs. That's the max I can give them, bro. It's not a good batting team. Pakistan are terrible at batting, right? Like, I look at some of these associate teams, they lose a wicket and the next guys just come back or come out and hit and rest back some momentum. Pakistan, when they lose a wicket, the next 2-3 overs are done, right? Like, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, no, that is true. That is true.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Anyway.
do you think they can make any changes to their playing 11 in that case?
Well,
What
I'd
would
be
you do?
very, 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 very surprised, Shayan, if Babar Azam is playing tomorrow's game.
Is that your information or is that is that what they should do? That's what they should do.
If Pakistan needs to win by a margin, how does having a theoretical fail-safe batter help? I'm going to call him theoretical
agree.
fail-safe batter because he hasn't really provided any insurance, has he? So
No.
yeah,
Exactly. This is what I was saying. Obviously, I had that chat with Tarutar and he had published that as a debate in his Best of Cricket piece. So essentially, what we were saying is, even if Babar Azam won them the Dutch match, the one against the Netherlands, he just had to bat at a runner ball. And even if he didn't win the game against India, just gave them a semblance of, competitiveness, just 40 of 35 or something like that. Even if you just stuck around for a bit, gave your team a chance towards the end. I would have said, okay, fine, he is not scoring fast, that is okay, but at least he is chipping in with these sort of contributions, but we are not getting that either. Of course, against Jofra, he hit 2 really good boundaries, and then again, he went back into his shell, slowed down massively, and I think that is really causing them issues over and over again, and if they have to win by a margin, it's not the best idea to go with him. They can do is they can have Fakhar at 4, Khwaja Nafai at 5, something like that.
thing is that they'll have to go 9-2 if they want to play both of Fakhar and Nafi. I don't think they should go 9-2. I think they should probably make room for another specialist bowler. Go 8-3.
They can do that as well.
Get Fahim back in place of
course.
Babar. Have Fahim as the insurance, for batting. And then Fakhar can just bat at 4. That's what I would do personally. And the conditions then dictate that whether they need a second seamer in perhaps Naseem Shah, or they bring in Abrar, because I feel like Abrar has been dealt a very, very harsh hand over here. He went for plenty of runs versus a left-handed batter-heavy India, and he was never brought back into the fold. And I think that he's been doing really well for Pakistan, so surely he should get a game then, if the conditions allow for it. If they require a second seamer, then at this point I'd probably bring in Naseem just for the experience.
He has played in Sri Lanka as well, right? I think he's played in the Lanka Premier League back in 2023, if I'm not wrong.
Has he? I can't remember.
It feels
I
like
don't
that,
watch
yeah.
league cricket
No, I don't.
outside.
I don't watch a lot
the
of
PSL and
franchise
sometimes the
TV
IPL.
either, but like I think that's where he had some experience, because you remember they were playing one days also in Sri Lanka before the Asia Cup, if I'm not wrong. That 2023 before the World Cup. So I
Yes.
feel like at around that point they have played some cricket there. So
I don't know if they were playing
that
one
could be
days in
handy,
Sri
yeah.
Lanka.
I think, yes, he has played.
It might have been the UAE, bro. They were playing Afghanistan, if I can remember correctly. So probably not Sri Lanka prior
Oh,
to
was
the,
that in UAE?
Asia
Yeah, but
Cup.
then they had the Asia
Yeah,
Cup
yeah,
in UAE in Sri
Yes,
Lanka,
yes.
right? In
Yep.
Pakistan and Sri Lanka. So yes, he did play in LPL 2023. He took 10 wickets in 7 matches at an average of 19.4, economy of 7.3. So maybe
That's
it
pretty
is a
good.
good idea to bring him back in the fold for this match.
Yeah, perhaps. Anyway, let's come back to the game that we just witnessed. I have a few more talking points. I've asked pretty much everyone from Rob Barron to Jared Kimber to Robin Uthappa of what is going wrong with Jos Buttler. Well, now we are 7 innings into this T20 World Cup. Buttler has scored 62 runs, bagged another silver duck today. And there's a theory of both the Robs who think that he just doesn't fit the sort of team culture, under Baz McCullum. But something tells me it's surely more than that, right? Like, he's getting dismissed to pace. That's a bit odd.
Yeah. No, I think I don't know how much I would read into the theory that Rob talked about, but
Yeah.
the thing is, dude, sometimes what happens is that even if you're a big player, you just have these streaks of low scores. But what's happened with Buttler is he has looked terrible. Even when he is batting, he's not looked at his best. What was the game where he scored, like, I think it was against Sri Lanka, where he was looking very, very off. It wasn't just about the runs. So people were comparing Abhishek and Buttler as like two star players who, who were out of runs. But with Abhishek, the issue was he wasn't even getting any runs, so you can't even tell if he is in form or not. With Buttler, you could tell while watching him, some of the shots that he was playing, it was not able to execute it. And today, obviously, he got a good ball, 142 odd, back of a length, outside of stump types, and he nicked off. So when you're not in form, those are the deliveries you will always nick off. I feel like it could be a confidence thing also at this point. Also, some decline in ability. I mean, Buttler is not the same player that we know that he once was. Yes, in the last year's IPL, he was really good. But I think, and in T20 internationals also, he has shown like good streaks of form at various points. But I still feel maybe he's not quite the Buttler that we know what he could do at his best, like the 2021 and the 22 World Cups, what he was doing in those World Cups, right? I don't think Buttler is at that level anymore. But as I said, you never ever rule out a big player for a knockout game, right? Like, that is the time when he will step up and completely, I mean, we took Virat Kohli's example, right? I think it was Sparsh who made a reel on this, and he was saying the same thing, that Buttler could just end up having a Kohli-esque tournament, right? He might just end up making runs in the final and, wash away all the sins of past, of all the tournaments, of all the failures in that tournament, right? So, I don't know. I wouldn't say you drop him, but it is concerning for sure.
I mean, there is Ben Duckett in the wings for England, who is a really, really good player of spin. But now the tournament's going back to India.
It's too late now to drop him.
Yeah. Plus, India, is the sort of venue where those surfaces probably suit England more than Sri Lanka. And they've gone through the Sri Lankan leg unbeaten, which is quite remarkable to me. But yeah, I would stick with Buttler at this point as well.
Yeah.
I did briefly think in the middle that maybe you open with Duckett and move Buttler to the middle order, and perhaps, Tom Banton. Tom Banton could make way. That's another theory or a ploy. But I don't think England will go
Banton has
down
been
that
doing
direction.
well, bro. Like, how do you drop Banton at this point?
Banton's done all right,
It's not
right?
fair to
Like,
drop
even
him.
today he was okay.
Today also he was very good.
Yeah, 32 odd runs today, I think.
32,
But I mean, he is a phenomenal player, Jos Buttler, one of the greatest T20 batters of all time. So if he is saving all of his runs for the knockouts, then I'm all here for it. He is definitely due a score, or maybe a couple of scores. Let's see how he goes in the semis, and England will be playing one of India, the West Indies. So that's going to be an exciting game, I suppose. All right, I've got two more things to talk about in this game before we move on to the Super Chats. One is the drop catches, which we didn't see much of, and it's a shame Rob Barron isn't here for this segment. But there was one dropped catch by Glenn Phillips off his own bowling, Tom Banton on 16, and that was a really tough chance. It hurt him as well. He was clutching onto his finger after that, but Glenn Phillips took an exceptional catch, a diving catch, and another good catch as well in the deep. England didn't drop anything. A rather rare occasion that we've seen one drop in the entire game in this T20 World Cup.
Probably. I mean, you guys are the ones that track catches the most, and some of the times when Rob says it's a drop catch, I doubt myself whether it's actually a drop catch, because you remember there was this one catch where Salt was on the boundary, he ran 22 meters, and he almost he grabbed it, but he couldn't really catch it. And Rob counted that as a drop, so I was like, dude, I don't know about that.
Rob Barron is a crazy man when it comes to counting drop catches, but over the years, and you know this about me, we've been working for over a couple of years now. I'm better at tracking catches than Crick Buzz. And I know this because sometimes I cross-reference. After I've tracked the drop catches, I check Crick Buzz and I have more and they have less. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing a better job than these guys. And then Rob Barron is like Rob Barron is one step ahead of me. I haven't even tracked as many drops as Rob Barron has, but I suppose he'll be really pleased that England took all of their catches today, even though England misfielded on a fair few occasions. And I remember there was one ball that went for 4 that really shouldn't have. It was a really, really poor misfield in the deep. But New Zealand, I think, were actually better in the field, weirdly, even though they have the one drop catch, which is really tough to call it a drop anyway. And Phillips is an insane fielder. He's the best fielder in contemporary cricket for me. Just edges Jadeja for me currently, not like overall. Of course, Jadeja is.
I think there was also this one misfield in the 6th over, if I'm not wrong, where a single became a double in the first innings.
Yeah,
so that was also there. Yeah.
Thing is,
we talked about the one.
You really need to be switched on in the field when New Zealand are batting. They, according to me, are the best cricket team in the world when it comes to running between the wickets. They will convert the zeros to ones and ones to twos and twos to threes, right? Like they are just that damn good when it comes to running between the wickets.
There's also
England also
Santa run-out chance, like not a run-out, but I think in the second innings where they had to run really fast to make sure that it doesn't end up being a run out. He was at cover and he threw really fast.
To England's credit, they picked up some really smart twos in this game as well, and some of them they ran really hard for. Some of them were placed well, and some of them they really kind of scurried for. So that was good stuff by both teams today, I suppose. And there was a boundary misfield by New Zealand as well. You're right, Anirudh. I saw that. One last thing I want to talk to you about with respect to this particular game is that we saw New Zealand in the Sri Lanka game bowl 17 overs of spin in the second innings, right? Why even bother playing the second pacer then? Did they have another spinner in their ranks? Because I would have just gone that direction. And it's weird because both the seamers do really well today. I think Matt Henry is probably the most criminally underrated new ball bowler globally. He got Phil Salt with his fourth ball, right? He was shaping
he is
the ball away
one
from
of the
him.
best new ball bowlers. I don't know if he's underrated. He is one of the best new ball bowlers.
we rate him over here. Does he get all the plaudits? Do you see social media posts on Matt Henry ever? I don't.
I mean, dude, he
right?
plays for New Zealand. That sort of doesn't help his case, right? If he was playing for a subcontinent team or Australia, England, you would see articles and essays and pros written on him. I think that is what goes against him.
Have Matt Henry as our most improved Test cricketer as well?
Yeah, of course. We had him as the most improved Test cricketer. No doubts about that.
So, but he's been really,
Even
really
in
good with the new ball.
T20s, I think I would give him that. Yeah.
That's the thing. With the new ball in this T20 World Cup, he's been lethal. Gets Phil Salt off his fourth ball. Even though the third delivery, it's shaped away as well. It beats Salt's bat. And very next ball, he's out the same way. Ends up with 1 for 13 in 2 power play overs. And on the other hand, Lockie also bowled in the power play. Got rid of Buttler with a second ball. And he had figures of 1 for 14 in 2 power play overs.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that I would have given that last over to Lockie ahead of Henry, even though it wouldn't have made a difference. England needed 5 runs, but he's the better death bowler. I suppose Henry's a bit more experienced, but Lockie's played more T20s. I'm not sure, but my question is, I don't know what their squad is at the top of my head. But if they had an option to play another spinner somehow, I would have gone for it. But I guess Sodhi was that guy who they had fit in. I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's maybe they don't want to drop their trusted pacers who've actually given them success. And even if you look at Henry's spell, the third over of the innings, it was 2 audacious shots from Brook that actually rattled him. It was that 1-4 over of the offside and then the leg side shot. I mean, that was, I think, the best shot that I've seen in a while. Unbelievable stuff. I can't believe how he played that. Then there was a shot in the next over as well, I think, when he hit towards covers point of Ferguson's bowling. And even in the 6th over of the spinner, he backed away sort of and hit another shot on the offside. So, I mean, that was some I know he only scored 26 runs of 24 balls. But, dude, I think that is the most chaotic 26 of 24 I've seen, because early on he was playing so many false shots and missing everything. But then the shots that he played, they were unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable batting from him.
Cheyenne, he kept attempting the ramp. Got hit in the body, fell over, did a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
He did connect one shot trying to do that, and I don't know what it was. I coined a new term. It's the floop. It's the flick scoop, right? What the hell was that 6, right? I cannot explain it. It even broke the screen, and only Harry Brook and perhaps Rishabh Pant can give us those sort of moments. I can't even think of a third batter who is capable of scoring, sixes like that.
Even sure. Yeah.
Actually, I'd love to pick your brain on this. So, for those of you who don't know, Cheyenne is writing a book on Virat Kohli, right? Cheyenne and Jared are partnering up. I don't know if this is a spoiler, if you guys have talked about it already, but now
everybody knows that now.
told
Deepak says
the
it on
world.
every other show, dude.
Our mate Richard in the comments over here really enjoys the floop. I'm glad I've given you a term. But I consider Virat Kohli as one of the strongest, or someone who has some of the strongest wrists in the game, right?
Yeah,
and
correct.
Virat Kohli, when he maneuvers those shots with his wrists, they are all onside shots mostly. When Harry Brook uses his wrists, they are offside shots. Have you picked up on that? I find it very fascinating, man.
Yeah, very fascinating actually. And in fact, he can do it on both sides of the wicket. The interesting comparison would be because Virat could generate power as well from his wrists. I think Brook can also do that, but maybe on that metric, you still have to give it to Virat, because he would hit 6s in that whole leg side arc from generating his power from his wrist, right? And obviously his grounded play was also really good with the wrists. And with Harry Brook, I think the shot, that 6th over shot that I'm talking about, right? I think that is where his wrists come into play, right? Because he's bowling, an off spinner is bowling from around the wicket, and he sort of backs away and hits it on the offside. I mean, that is just crazy work, dude.
It is, and it's that shot is entirely from the wrists. All the power is generated from there,
Yeah.
and the way he shapes up after giving himself room, sometimes even skipping down the track and giving himself room, and then he uses his wrists to carve or cream the ball up and over the covers. I think that's a very
lots of
special
times.
talent of Harry Brooks, right? And
Unbelievable
not a lot of
player,
players in the world can do that. I haven't seen a lot of players do in the
I
world
think
do that. In
one
fact,
last thing.
he's
on
quite
him.
unique.
Yeah. Would you say he's the best young player in the world right now?
Jaiswal for me.
Jaiswal, the thing
Always.
is, I don't think I disagree with you entirely, but Jaiswal is not in the T20 team or in the
Sure.
ODI team right now.
But
That is
Jaiswal
the
would have
issue.
made every single T20 and ODI
course.
team across the globe apart from India. And in Test
would.
cricket, I feel like he's the best out of this lot. You know who
No,
is
of course,
underrated,
of
and
course.
you love this? I think Pathum is underrated when you talk about all
Of course,
format upcoming
he's
batters.
very good. Yeah,
Yeah,
no
I
doubt.
love
I
him.
think he's definitely up there. But I think the only issue is with Jaiswal, I'm not touting the talent or the fact that whenever he gets to play ODIs or T20s, he will do well. I am just going by the fact that because Brook is playing all three formats, and when you compare it with the other players that are there of his age group who are playing all three formats, Brook is standing out the most. And on talent, I think it is not even close, dude. Like, just some of the stuff that he does, it is unbelievable player. And obviously, Jaiswal is right.
We got a super chat today on the Pro Sports Live in which someone was asking, name 10 cricketers who will rule the next 10 years from 2026 to 2036. And Jaiswal and Brook were the first two names. I threw
of
in
course.
Shubman Gill and
Yeah,
Abhishek
Gill
over there
should
as
be
well.
there too.
Yeah, Gill and Abhishek both. I think Abhishek at
Abhishek
some
in
point will play
T20s for
ODIs.
sure.
Ultimately, he'll play ODIs as well. I have a strong
Yeah, he
feeling,
could
right?
do that
If
too. Yeah.
ODIs survive, that is, till 2036. Janssen I had there from
Yeah,
South
for sure.
Africa. I had Brevis as well. I can't remember the
Stubbs?
rest. Yes, I think I
Stubbs?
don't know if I had Stubbs. I can't
I
remember.
mean, Stubbs is very good.
Yeah,
no doubt
if
about
someone was there in that live, if you could share what the other names were, because there were quite a few that we came up with, right?
Rachin?
Pathum was there. Rachin and Pathum both were there, right?
Yeah. Cam
And,
Green, did you rate him or like?
I didn't
Dude.
have Cam Green in there actually.
Dude, the thing is, I still.
I had
rate him.
Webber.
I wouldn't say that. Webb. Oh yeah, of course.
I had Webber in there.
that guy might make Brook also look stupid. I think the level of talent that he is. Let's
But
see. I mean,
you're-
time will tell us.
You're right to say that there are two names that are like ahead of the rest in the spectrum.
Ronak
order, and
suggests
that's
another
probably
name. Brian Bennett.
Bennett is a good one.
That
Yeah,
is a
but
good shout.
Too soon, I suppose.
Too
So
soon, yeah.
it's either going to be Jaiswal or Brook, depending on who has the most successful all-format careers ultimately. But I do think
correct,
that
correct,
I'd still lean towards Jaiswal in tests, even though Brook has
That
the
is
better
fair.
numbers.
Tests, of course.
Because I feel like Jaiswal
agree.
is just better rounded as a test cricketer.
He's
But
opener.
in white
he's
ball
an
cricket,
opener. Yeah.
yeah. In white ball cricket, I don't
And-
think a lot of people can do what Brook can do.
I think the thing is, even in red ball cricket, I think that is what separates Brook from the other players. That he might not be as consistent as a Jaiswal or a Gill or many of the other guys, Rachin, whoever. He may not be as consistent as them when they all peak and when they play all formats. But what he can do on his day, I think that will beat every other player. He is just that audacious sort of a player that when he is on, nobody's going to come close to him. I think another player you can add to this is Jacob Bethel. He looks like the part. He's proper player.
Let's do this. Shayan, let's do this properly. I'm going to take
Yeah,
a name
sure.
and you say yes or no, and then we'll plug it in the chat over here. We've both
Sure,
gone for
sure.
Jaiswal and Brook. Let's throw
Yeah,
Gill,
of course.
Abhishek, and Webber in there as well, right? Like, surely.
Gill, yes. Webber also, yes. Abhishek, it depends on which formats you're talking about. I don't know about tests.
Yeah, no, I don't see him in whites, but I would still have him because he's like the Steph Curry of cricket, right? As Jared just wrote, Air Abhishek.
But
I
that
still
is in
have him as
T20s,
one of the talents who will rule cricket over the next 10 years. Maybe not in tests, but in the other formats as well. Yeah, so Jaiswal, Brook, Gill, Abhishek, Webber. You want to throw Rachin in there?
Yeah.
Rachin,
I know he's not
Janssen.
cracked T20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pathum and Janssen both for sure.
Yeah, Pathum, Janssen, Rachin, Brevis perhaps?
Yeah, I will be interested to see how he goes in tests. But clearly, like against pace bowling, I feel like he's a really good talent. I mean, some of the shots that he can play, and he has that ability to like sort of pick up and like tongue the ball in that leg side-ish arc, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. But I think he can play on both sides of the wicket too.
He's the
my
king
gut
of
feel is
no-look
right.
shots. That's one thing.
No-look
for
shots,
sure,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
We need one more name, man, and I'll give you some
Kamindu Mendes,
options. We
dude.
got
Somebody
Kamindu
suggested.
Mendes, Brian Bennett. Who else do we have? Cam Green.
Yeah, I would put Cam Green. I think people are very, his stocks have dipped massively, but I think I will not give up on Cam Green just yet.
Okay,
Dude,
you know
that
what?
is the thing, right? when it
plug
comes
his
to
name
wide ball, I think it was the Scotland game where I just checked the score and saw that Brook got out. I was like, dude, I'm not going to back this guy anymore in wide ball. He's far too erratic for my liking. He's not giving any performances in tournaments, and obviously in Test cricket, I know there's no doubt about his ability and his performance. But I was really disappointed after that Scotland match. But couple of games after that, he has just done what we have all seen, right? I mean, unbelievable innings against Pakistan. One of the best ever in T20 World Cups.
Yeah, easily, man. I mean, it was Brook versus Pakistan, right? He single-handedly
exactly.
annihilated them in the second innings.
2,
This is the list
5,
that we've come up
6,
with, guys.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, I think it's good enough.
I like it. It's just for Abhishek, obviously, we have to say that it's T20s, or I don't know how much I would rate him for one-day cricket, but just yet I have to see him play that format more. But
I
T20s
feel like
definitely agree.
if in ODIs he can have a 35 average with even a 120 strike rate, that's a major success.
But which role do you see him in? Do you think he's going to open? Or bat lower?
Opener, basher, yeah, annihilate the.
Or if they have
opposition team in power
Weber
play.
in the future, how they are both going to open?
That would be insane, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, Rakshit, I suppose we've talked about everything that we needed to talk about. Let's go through the super chats and end this show. I know Shayan had to leave a bit early, but now it's definitely headed towards the hour mark.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Saptagirish, I'm sorry if I've butchered your name, buddy. 17 says Pakistan have a chance to get into semis without defeating any of the big teams. Hopefully they stop playing the victim card and stop cribbing. Pakistan has to do a lot tomorrow to get to the semis. It's not like rainbows and butterflies, right? Like they'll have to win by either 64 runs or chase down a target in 13 overs or something. So if they do get there, they'll have played really well to get there. And that's the nature of the beast, man. That's what tournament cricket is. Sometimes you get these easy draws and you can make it to the semis through those easy draws. So, yeah, I don't see any issues over there. What's the next one? We've got Blue Eagles, who says the winner of India versus West Indies only has 1 day to travel and 1 day to train. England have played at Wankhede a few times and go tomorrow. Easy money, England make the final. I don't think it's that simple. Your logic holds, but India are a far more skilled team than England, and West Indies have a penchant to defeat England every now and then.
And they have won at this very ground.
Exactly. They defeated England at the Wankhede, and weirdly enough, even through their shittier eras, West Indies somehow managed to defeat England across formats.
No, that is there. Yeah, for sure. Even I think across formats that sort of holds up. Sometimes if you, I think you remember the 2022 Test series where West Indies were really struggling, but England were also really struggling, and West Indies won that series 2-1. That just before the baseball.
It's the red ball reset series, buddy, and then they actually had the red ball reset.
Yeah, they got
go full
Saqib Mahmood and I think whatnot. Like they benched both Anderson and Broad.
Jimmy would have had more wickets than Warney if not for missing that series. Surely he loves playing against the West Indies, right?
That is also true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this the next super chat or have we missed one? Anyway. Arpit Bhatnagar says, I started watching the match late. What the fuck? New Zealand did not bowl the last 3 overs by a fast bowler. Did I miss something? I don't think that was an entirely wrong ploy, but it's just that New Zealand spinners, especially Glenn Phillips, maybe they'd already gotten the best out of him, right? He was 1 for 22 after 3 overs, and then that last over goes for 22 runs. So that did kind of backfire. But Santner bowling the penultimate over was the right call. Perhaps they could have gone Henry, Santner, and then gambled with Phillips in the last over. Maybe that was the right thing to do.
Could have done that probably.
Yeah. Rohit Kumar Jha says, Pak fans say, सबसे पहले आपने घबराना नहीं है. Okay. I mean, घबराना तो है भाई. Like,
who
Pakistan
said
has
this
a very,
quote?
very
I've heard this a
difficult
lot.
chance. This is Imran Khan's quote.
Oh,
This
this
guy.
is Imran Khan's quote. Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a very generous super chat from Pinky. Thank you. Who says, no questions, thank you for the quality content, becoming a fan of Rob's rants. We are all fans of Rob's rants, but thank you so much. We appreciate the love and we're glad to be of service. Okay, who do we have next? We've got Sunny Hassan, who is a Jani of the Pro Sports Podcast. Represent. He says or asks, Jack's having a current type tournament from 2022. You've joined this chat late, Sunny Hassan. Rob Barron was here not too long ago who said that Will Jacks is having a Klusner-esque T20 World Cup. Yeah. So there's
Probably
a
somewhere in the
statement for
middle.
you. Yeah,
Because
probably.
Karan with the bat, I don't know how much of an impact he had. If you actually remember that T20 World Cup, it was mostly
bat?
his death bowling.
Cutters.
Did he even bat that much? I don't even remember, dude.
Sam Curran ended up with
Finals,
a
I
bucket
think,
load of
did he make
wickets.
Yeah,
Did
it
he
was
have,
mostly
like,
his
over-
death bowling, right?
over 20 wickets or something in that campaign, man, if I remember correctly.
No, not that many.
No?
Bro. I think he had like
Okay, maybe I'm thinking
13
wrong over here.
wickets or something like that.
Yeah,
if
but
I'm not
he
wrong.
was a cutter bowler
Can't be
throughout the
20
World
wickets,
Cup.
bro.
He
That
was
is, like not possible.
he was Shadley Van
He was very
Shal
good,
it.
no doubt.
Yeah. Okay.
Three,
yes.
that is a good one. Three for
Rohit
12 in the
Ramesh.
final. Yes, he didn't bat in the final. He took 3 for 12. Yeah.
Yeah, Rohit Ramesh is saying the same thing as Will Jacks clues during this World Cup. Well, Rob Barron certainly thinks so. All right. What's the next super chat over here?
13
Andy B
wickets.
says,
Check
don't
that
get
too.
Rob's pessimism.
wickets for Karan.
England have been better than India. Jack's off spin taking a first over wicket is a guarantee. I'd much rather avoid South Africa. I don't know, man. I still feel like England, for me, are behind both of India and South Africa in this T20 World Cup. Yes, I finally started to take them seriously because I thought they were, dishing out a lot of nonsense, but they've weirdly problem solved well and bossed the Super 8 stage, and they've gone unbeaten in Sri Lanka. I think that does count for something. I'm going to give them credit, but not as much as calling them the best team in this tournament. I'd still take India and South Africa ahead of them.
No, I agree with that. Also, he probably doesn't believe that England have been better than South Africa, I would imagine. Better than India, I can see the argument for it because India lost really bad and some of their wins were also, coming like not perfect wins. I know on paper they look big wins, but even like you take the Zimbabwe game, right? Like they conceded 180 runs. I mean, I think you just need to hear Deepak speak and he will tell you every flaw that India has had in this T20 World Cup. So yes, I agree that India haven't performed quite at their best, but I would also say they're second for me after South Africa for this specific tournament and overall
Interesting.
obviously
So,
first.
I've caught a bit of Deepak's rants on Instagram, on the reels and everything. I feel like he does go a bit too hard. Also, I have this feeling that not calling anyone biased or anything over here, but Indian analysts are being a bit more harsh on India, according to me, than I am, because I still see them as hot favorites to win this goddamn thing. And the way I look at it is that despite not playing their best cricket, they've been so dominant and they've had one really, really terrible game. So I think that, India should beat West Indies, and then they're still favorites for me to knock everyone out in the knockouts.
Let's see, I think
I don't
time
know,
will tell.
Time will. But I
they're
agree with
pretty
you. If you just look at what has happened on the field, India have been far from perfect. Over there, I'm with you.
Exactly.
They've been
That
scrappy,
is
or
what
as
I'm
Robin
saying. That
Uthappa
is
likes
all
to say,
we are
they've been
judging
patchy.
them on.
Yeah. Patch. Of Anvesh says, every time I see Pakistan watch play a million shots look like they are going to score 180 in 15 overs. But when I look at score, it's always 7 to 8 runs per over. I just think that they're a team that don't know how to play modern T20s because they don't have multiple gears in them. Like sometimes when you have to hit, they're knocking the ball around. Sometimes when you have to show some composure and consolidate, then they go out hitting. They're a very confused unit, and let's be real, when it comes to batting talent and ability, Pakistan are far behind most teams right now, if you look at the best in the world. So I'm not saying they're the worst team in the world. I'd still take Pakistan ahead of some of the other weaker sides these days. Like Sri Lanka, I think Pakistan are a better team than, and now that I've said this, Sri Lanka will beat Pakistan tomorrow. I take Pakistan ahead of Zimbabwe, Bangladesh, maybe the West Indies, although the West Indies are on a hot streak. But, pound for pound, I think Pakistan can defeat the West Indies more games than they lose. Yeah, amongst the middling teams, perhaps they're slightly better, but they're Pakistan. They can be anything. That's the thing with them. What do we have next? Abhijit Shivanandan says England and Pakistan.
I don't know about
are
West Indies. That will
bastions.
be an interesting one, I think.
Yeah. Current form, West Indies are better. But when Pakistan played the West Indies not too long ago in
Yeah.
T20s, they won that series. And that was in the West Indies as well. So they were away from home.
that's fair.
Abhijit Shivanandan says England and Pakistan are the bastions of chaos in this tournament. Absolutely. And we got chaos central when they played each other. So, what else do we have,
For
Rakshit?
sure.
Time for us to go home, man. Ribhu Ganguly says, are Ben Folks, Rhythm and Saha and KS Bharat the last of their kind? Really talented wicket keepers who got into the test team based on their wicket keeping ability. And batting didn't matter. I think that's the question over here. I'm trying to think of someone. Steven Imlach?
He doesn't average a lot with the bat, I think. That I
He's a
remember.
good keeper.
I
I've
don't
seen him
know-
keep.
I don't know how much I've observed his keeping, so I will not.
I
comment on
saw
that.
Imlach in the test series versus Pakistan. He was exceptional behind the stumps on wickets that were ragging. Ball was turning square. So I think he perhaps is off that same ilk. Yeah, there's a name for you.
Fair enough.
The Caribbean Cricket Podcast guys can confirm. Go ask Mash and Santoki.
Yeah,
Jack says, are there only two proper good teams in this World Cup? For me, it kind of holds up because the teams with the least amount of holes are India and South Africa. But even they've been patchy, right? Like they've shown vulnerabilities time and again. South Africa
less
played
so,
a really
but
poor
yeah.
game versus Afghanistan.
It was a very interesting game. I don't know how much I would say poor, but they could have won that game. Like it was a full chaos central game. But I mean, yeah, that best game of the tournament for me, of course. And I mean,
Easily.
they've still looked much less flawless than say India. You look at some of the run chases; they've been very clinical. I mean, bro, against New Zealand, against West Indies, they've just won comfortably, man.
Yeah, they've got a very, very strong batting order. I don't know why Jared doesn't rate Bosch and Janssen at 7 and 8.
Yeah,
I have no issues with
exactly.
that.
I never understood.
Yeah.
that.
I think
that
those are
too,
pretty
bro.
solid
But he's not
options.
into it. Yeah, even
fact-
Deepak says the same thing, that they're very good at 7 and 8, but Jared is the one that he's just not willing to give away.
Jared is ready to die on that hill, and I think that amongst fifth bowling options, Corbin, Bosch is solid, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take him, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? At least he's Hardik level, or maybe less experienced than Hardik, but you can say that
Yes.
he's a similar level quality of bowler in some ways. Maybe Hardik
He
with his
hits-
experience and tournament cricket, you take him any day over Bosch.
Yeah.
That is no doubt.
Of course.
But yeah.
But Bosch is cranking it up. He's been the fastest bowler on display in this tournament, if I'm not wrong, and he
Oh,
hits
yeah,
the
that
correct
is also
lengths. Him and Hardik actually hit very similar lengths if you think about it.
Yeah,
Maybe Bosch is a touch shorter than Hardik, but similar-ish lengths.
Bosch is taller,
okay.
no? Than Hardik.
Yeah, he probably generates more bounce. That's true. Mr. PSP says or asks, who is going to pull in Aditya Tare tomorrow? I don't get the reference, man. This must be from the
bro.
years of IPL that I've missed.
Yeah. This is the 2014 IPL. Where,
Tell me what he did.
where- Dude, that was just like you just have to go and watch what he did. And basically, Rajasthan needed to make their runs. I think they chased down 190 odd in 14.1 or 14.4 overs, and that was also like a proper net run rate situation where at one point it was like, oh, this game is over, and like Mumbai are not going to win this game, but they somehow managed to do it, bro. Like that is what they do. And
My money on someone to play that knock is probably on Fahim Ashraf.
he can do that. Yeah, you're right about that.
He's that sort of guy. If he's on one, then he can slam them big time. But let's see. I still don't have Pakistan as favorites to make the semis, guys, because I feel like Sri Lanka, even though they're out of the tournament, they're still playing for pride. And they have to be better than they were in their first two Super 8 games. It's just...
So
if that's not the
14.4
case-
overs. Mumbai chased that down in 14.4 overs to be specific. And I think Shreyas also puts it down really well. And scores were
There you
tied.
go.
They needed to score a boundary. Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of stuff happening. It's a bit difficult for me to, just explain it to you. You have to go and watch it. Like, that is the best way to explain that run. Just it was pure chaos. And I remember that game as well back in the days. It was 2014, yeah.
Okay, so final thoughts on tomorrow's game. Pick your lineup for me for Pakistan, Shayan, and then I'll tell you what I'd do differently.
I guess they can get, like as you suggested, they can get Fahim in for Babar. That is a good move. I don't really see the purpose of Babar playing T20 cricket anymore, to be very frank.
Yep,
Don't
same.
really see a point in that. So, and then with Fahim, if you get him in, you get more batting. You get batting depth. I mean, obviously you still have a batter, so that is fine. But you get more bowling depth. Actually, you get another bowling option, and Fahim is not too bad with the ball, is he? If he can chip in at times, and they have not used him particularly. I think
Yeah.
in the India game he didn't bowl at all, did he? He didn't even bowl in that game.
He is actually really good versus left-handed batters, and if you remember in the Asia Cup final, he gets
Asia Cup he
both
gets Abhishek
and-
Sharma, didn't he?
Abhishek,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. He gets the ball to nip away from the left-handed batters. And thing is with Fahim, if you want to use him, you only use him in the power play. I don't think he's much use outside the power play. But I'm gonna throw up an 11 for you, and we can put it up for our people over here, our viewers and listeners over here as well. Farhan, Saim, Salman, Fakhr, maybe Usman 5, Shadab 6. Nawaz has had a shitty tournament, but he probably plays this game because Sri Lanka he does well against. 8 Fahim. Shaheen has to play now, I suppose, because he had a really good game versus England. So you
Yeah, I mean,
you play
after
him.
the last game, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
also,
then,
the sort of player who can win you a game against Sri Lanka, right?
Yes,
Varun is in the
absolutely,
chat,
and he's
guys.
done that. Yeah, well, Varun, we're not even having Babar or keeping Babar in our 11. We are both quite done with him in T20s. I think he should have played his last T20I for Pakistan versus India because he was picked for that game, and he royally fucked up. Then you got Usman Tariq. I'm not sure if they should play Abrar or Naseem, because if it's a seamer-friendly surface, then surely Naseem. As much as I love Salman Mirza, I think Pakistan will need as much experience as they can get tomorrow. That's my theory. But here is the team I've put forward over here. I think Cheyenne will probably agree with it. Do you? Are you still with me?
Yeah. Yes. I think that this 11 looks fair. As I said earlier, you kind of need, in that middle overs period, you need somebody who can bash spin. I know Fakhar is not like a perfect player. Neither is Usman, but you want some of them. And Shadab at the death, I think, has been pretty good. And Fahim as well, he won them that Netherlands match. So you'd keep them. Nawaz, as you're saying, he has a good record against Sri Lanka, so you just keep him. So I think that is fair enough.
Yeah. All right, then. I think that's it for this show. I can't really think of anything else that we need to discuss. We've done with the Super Chats as well. Congratulations to England fans for topping their group in the Super 8s. Today it was a very, very fun win. 4-wicket win with 3 balls to spare. They've kept Pakistan alive. And, as dull as these Super 8s have been, we're headed to the final 2 days with context. And that's all we really care about, right? From a cricket coverage perspective. Because when we see dead rubbers in tournaments, that's no fun. And now we've gotten just one dead rubber. It's the South Africa-Zimbabwe game, which is a dead rubber. Other than that, both games have heaps of context. Pakistan need to win by either 64 runs or need to chase down the total in 13 overs tomorrow versus Sri Lanka. Highly unlikely or improbable, but still not impossible. Maybe you could call it possible for those of you who've watched How I Met Your Mother. And then it's a virtual quarter-final, really, guys, between India and the West Indies. And India should win it because they've got the far better team. The only thing that's going in West Indies' favour is that they've played at Eden Gardens before in this tournament, and India haven't. So they have the Kolkata advantage, but then India live in India.
India also have a good record in Eden, I think.
Exactly.
And as do West Indies. So that is the good matchup that we're going to see.
And I mean, let's see what sort of pitch we get, right? Because Eden Gardens has a really topsy-turvy sort of trend when it comes to the surface. For the sake of, entertainment, I would like to see a tricky surface.
Yeah.
Just so that we see some chaos. Yeah. All right, then. Thank you, everyone, for your interactions, and thank you for your super chats as well. Go follow Commbox everywhere. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back with you tomorrow once again after the Pakistan-Sri Lanka game. Until then, you guys take care of yourselves, enjoy the T20 World Cup, and see you guys. Goodbye.
Cricket has never finished at the close of play. It lives in the arguments, the memories, the comment sections. Cricket makes you talk. Commbox is entering that chat.